Morning, everyone. And so decent move overnight. And I think the main issue with this morning, or today, is not much data, but Drahi speaking at 9 and not much else at all in Euro or US session. So I'm just trying to backtrack and see what's. So we've got Aussie rates stay the same. Had some very weak UK shopping retail data overnight. So since this pound had such a good run yesterday, just looking to see if we can get a pullback and get some sort of gap fill and trade this back to the upside. Like I said, I'm looking for this to get somewhere near to 250, 300 potentially back end of the week. It's a short week. Short week because of Veterans Day on Friday. So yeah, we're coming into this quite weak. We had 4 hours of lower closes on this pound after that push into 175. So let's see if we can get some pullbacks. The DAX has charged up. So that's a gap at 470. I mean, that's gone up in the Asian period. It's not even shot up in the European period. I mean, the obvious place to get long this one is 25 pips under here, just under the. If we can drop to at least attempt to close the gap. Could you short that now? Yes, we are extended. You could attempt to short that, see if you can get that down to 500. I mean, if it keeps going, then you might do well. So last week's high was 503, and yesterday's yesterday's close was 480. I think one thing to watch is this one. If Drahi is possible, this was terrible yesterday. Shot up to 312 and spent the whole day grinding lower. It's possible Mr. Drahi could stoke this up. So after the pound's big run, I'm inclined to let's just see what we want on this one. So on pound yen, yeah, I'll see the big 150. If we dip under the big 150, coming to that yesterday's high. Yesterday's high is a potential good one on that. And this is really sort of ground higher rather than shot higher. Right, let's just see where we are. This was the most interesting yesterday, this one. This one, so you've basically got a bull flag there. Easy to see on hindsight. It broke up the last half an hour of trading. So most of that move was in the last half hour of trading. So I am looking for a pullback in these pound pairs, keeping a close eye on the euro yen because it had such a glorious start to Sunday, Monday, and then drifted right back here. So in the meantime, the hourly's not actually looking that bad after this push overnight. So it's just a question of, can we get a gap fill? 220, 218 will be the support here. So after all this selling, that was a potentially good place to get short at 240. Okay, so we can get some ranges now. So let's just start putting some ranges across, and then I'll start thinking about what we can go for, or what I will go for anyway. Right. So this is coming to the European session with a buy signal on this 225. DAX is drifting lower. Bear in mind we've got a quiet day. I think the name of the game is gaps this morning. That's done. Yeah, drifting into the big 500. So I think if you write your screens properly, I think selling into that high and expecting the big number to come up would have been a good strategy. In the meantime, I'm just going to pick up on this euro because it's a decent 15-minute bar up there. Just looking to see if we can pick up Right, DAX continuing to drift a little lower. So obviously I would much prefer a gap fill on this. Let's get all of these charts lined up. This is good fib support here. I am going to go long this one if I get a good signal. Euro yen is triggering long. DAX is still drifting short. Yeah, so I think I'm hoping the best strategy for this one is to wait for that gap fill. Okay, so we're still DAX is still drifting a little lower. The risk reward ratio for a drop is too weak, too narrow. So we've come into this week with quite a weak bar, but let's just look at these 60 minutes a second. Let's just reflect on what the 60 minutes could be telling us on this euro yen. So all of this selling, let's get a darker pen. I wish they were just, so all of this selling, three-wave reversal, bang. But this is basing. Just wondering if we can just start to we're above the midline on the MACD, had the crossover, but we're underneath. Obviously, the crossovers are under the midline. If we can just come into a bit of support here, so we've had one move up. If we can get a pullback and we get a wave three could be quite impulsive. If we get a wave three is normally the best move. So the other pairs are not doing much. Pound's a little bit higher. DAX is trying to find some. Okay, that's fading at the moment. So I think I'm going to leave the DAX and concentrate on this yen. See if we can get a gap fill. And then come in on that support. Let me see if there is the major trend line now is right down there. So that's not much use to me. Unless, of course, it drops hard. Yeah, on the basis that we've got Mr. Drahi in 50 minutes, I am going to see if that is going to pick up. In the meantime, let's have a look at the pound. Yeah, so we're breaking up on this pound. It's a very weak 4-hour bar there. We are moving into a weak 4-hour bar. Just need time to let this set up, I think. Not going to sort of start rushing around into trades. Just going to give this time to settle down. And that gap is a reasonable risk-reward ratio. DAX continues to inch down. DAX coming to the 500. Yeah, I'm not happy with the overhang on that one. And I'm not happy with the MACD. Come into this with a very weak hourly bar. If this, if this drops through 150, this could short back to that gap. What I don't want to do is suddenly get very bearish on a chart that's had a great start to the week. But all we've done is move into a lot of resistance. This is the problem with this one. There is a massive overhang of resistance up here. So I'm just going to take my time. Yeah, we're only 15 minutes into the day, into the UK day. So the only data we got on the UK is for this week. So we had terrible retail sales out. Now we've got house price inflation at 8:30. Okay, we've got house price inflation in 12 plus minutes. So the fade on the DAX is working at the moment, but look at the support underneath it. So the risk reward ratio on that is poor unless we can see the gap filling. I can see the gap filling. Yeah, we talked last night about that consolidating. So this 500 on yesterday's high. Look how high the MACD is on that 15-minute. The MACD is suggesting this is extended up here. Pound US is ticking out. Pound yen is pretty flat. I'm just going to take the time. I can't see a trade. We can see the gaps are. Sorry, the ranges are beginning to fire. I mean, that's fired long on the pound yen. But we're already at an extension. So if the yen is weak, I'd much rather wait for this one. Yeah, on the basis this has had a good well, I say good overnight run. It's not actually pushed up that much, but on the basis this one is looking fairer value, I am going to wait for a buy signal on this one. I'm just hoping that it's going to dip lower. Although the pound is ticking up, it's ticking up into congestion. We've got the 200-day moving average just above us there. So that's only triggered 3 pips away, unless you bought the floor at 150. I think at the very least, if this is really that bullish, I think at the very least it will drift back into that floor. It could easily, it has a good day, could easily just run from here. I think with the overhang resistance on all the time frames on this, I think this will drift back into that floor. I think the DAX could still well do a gap fill. And I think the euro yen will catch up. So we've got we've actually got a sell signal on the 15-minute chart, but it's right. So we've closed higher and closed lower again. So that's why the DAX continues to drift a little lower. And the pound is inching up. So the only way you could have got that is to buy the floor. So I'm going to still concentrate on the yen, euro yen. This is a nice 15-minute level here. I think one of the reasons why I like this is because it's less congested above. If you're going to buy something, I want something that's got more space above it. And the pound pairs are congested above. So I'm happy just to sit here and do nothing at the moment. But I'm getting keen on this euro yen. All right, I'm going to buy here. If I get a signal. Okay. I'm going to take this 25, 26. Okay, I've got a long here. I just like this 15-minute support. I think the fibs is good. We've triggered long on the at 233, so I am long here. Talk about my target in a minute. The target's obviously got to be 250. We had a buy signal on this 15-minute chart into the London Open. A little sort of hesitation at the European resistance, but the pound yen has triggered long again. So I'm looking for this euro yen to basically catch up. Okay, we closed inside the range again. It's a tight range. It's a 5 pip range. 5 or 6 pip range. So we've closed above the floor. We've not filled. I mean that would have been ideal if we'd have, and therefore we might still gap fill. DAX, it still continues to drift lower. So we've faded to the short side. We've triggered a short and faded to the short so far. We've not once we've triggered, we hardly entered back into that range. So we've not even pulled back into the range yet. Okay, well I'm happy with that trade at the moment. Obviously I need that to continue to, I need that to close above 230, 235. This yen was a bit of a, euro yen was a bit of a mystery to me yesterday anyway, because we had incredible move up to 312, and then we just spent the rest of the day just grinding lower. So I got a stop out on it. So we finally took the Europe and US close before this one picked up, and the Asians picked it up and ran with it. So yeah, we need to hold that to get anything out of this. Otherwise, we start breaking under here. Obviously, we could potentially roll over and come right back down to these lower levels. But in the meantime, I like this 225 support. Obviously, we're congested. We've got the 200. I'm going long under the 15-minute 200, so that stacks the odds against me slightly. If we can get going, I think we can get back to 300. So I'm going to initially put that target at the 300 mark, 294 say, and then I'm going to adjust it. But your scalp score target is 250. Yeah, see the pound's coming off now. Pound's hit that congestion and is struggling. So a bullish US market, a bullish Asian market, and Europe is bearish at the moment, apart from the pound. I think this could so easily just drop all the way back again. If we lose our footing at this 150, I think this could drop right down back down into at least yesterday's support. DAX is just grappling with his 500 mark. Okay, I'll stop flicking around and just concentrate on let's have a look at what this, so I'm underwater at the moment. Just coming into the half hour. Slightly underwater with the lower close in the 15-minute chart. So let me take this off, because that's not helping. Save my charts. Don't want to lose all that work. Yes, the pound has hit 160 and drifted back. DAX is still not happy. In fact, the DAX, there's two 15-minute bars closing lower. The daily is very, very extended. And the pound is drifting right back as well. Not drifting back much though. So this 148 is the bottom of the floor of the range, and this 15-minute pivot support. Right, I'm just going to go quiet now, and let's just see if it's going to continue lower or if we can pick up again. So we had a little trigger to the long side, and now we're closed underneath the range, but it's a titchy range. So my stop is, excuse me, my stop is 16. Right, I'm just going to go quiet now, and we'll see how the next quarter hour ticks by. So I will talk to you at 1:45. Any other trades? No, I'm not. The pound range is still holding. That pound yen is a tricky one because we have broken free of a lot of resistance on all the key moving averages in the daily 4-hour and hour, and the smaller time frames we're sitting above them, so that is very bullish. So I've now got to hope that this is going to get back into that range and get going. Right, I will go quiet now until 1:45. Okay, we've got Trump coming out saying we need to act on North Korea. As far as I can make out, that's what spooked the markets. So I'm stopped out. That's frustrating. So that is potentially a fade. So I'm going to take a short on this DAX. Right, I'm short the DAX based on a fade. Let's see if we can gap fill and do more. I'm beyond, yeah, my stop loss. I'm stopped out of euro yen. My stop was 16, and that must have just nicked me. I must have literally just triggered. Just looking, so just short this DAX now on the fade. Looking to see if I can come out of this with a push down in the DAX. Talked about how we're getting we talked about being bearish on this yesterday with these lower closes on Friday and yesterday. A few pips up. My entry was a little bit slow. 514 I've got. Is that right? No. 503. Yeah. We need to close, obviously need to close under 13.5. Need to close under this 15-minute high for it to work. Yeah. So we've not even gone back in the, well, it just very, very narrowly went back in that range, but immediately closed just on the range. So we've triggered short, faded, and still closing lower. So the advantage of being a scalper is that you can flip. If you seem to be on the wrong side of the market, then get on the right side of the market. Okay, so the euro yen is still trickling lower. Pound US trickling lower. And we look at least likely to see the gap fill. So the gap fill would be a scalper school target. Gap fill is the scalper school target. Yes, the pound's knocked in into that congestion at 160 and is at the moment 20 pips lower. Very, very bearish divergence on this 1 hour DAX, very divergent. So as we always say in scalper school, if you miss the initial entry, the fade can often be stronger. Euro yen still not holding up. Okay, so we're just coming into the hour with a potential sell signal in this DAX. An engulfing candle for all you candle fans. If we close under this 95. Now I've got Drahi speaking at 9, so we need to be wary. Potentially, yeah. Let's see. It might be old news. It might. I don't know if he's literally just tweeted that. The euro yen has reverted to yesterday's downtrend. Now we're not exactly charging down here, so yeah, let's see. What you might want to do is keep a stop above 13. Keep a stop above that range if you want to stay in it. Otherwise, you know, we're not exactly running down. So for that 470 is the first target and the scalper score target. I'm literally only 7 or 8 pips up at the moment. Euro yen continues to trickle lower. Pound is stable at the moment. Who knows? You know, maybe the market's going to brush that comment aside. Let's just concentrate on what Draghi may or may not do to this market now, because he starts speaking in 3 or 4 minutes. So again, you know, we've come into a lot of support at that low. If you look at the 15-minute chart, we're coming to a lot of support. So be careful. I'm practically back to my entry because I got in a little bit late on this. Euro yen continues to trickle down. So let's see if we close above 500, and this may not work. Let's just rely on what the market's telling us. And nothing else. Oil is nice and high. Oil's having a great week. 57 above 57.50 on oil. That's going to hurt European markets for a start, particularly if the dollar gets stronger. Okay, so we're just coming into the hour. Looks as if we're going to go under the 500 into the hour. Forex is stable. The little spike lower is calmed down. So I'm just a few ticks the right side of this at the moment. Okay, we only marginally closed under the 500 mark. So it's a weak 15-minute chart. Lower close in the 60. But we're still not gap filled. So you know, be careful. Right, so we're just testing yesterday's highs. Like I said, but since we've broken down, we've hardly touched the inner range, the inner open range, but there is still some quite a lot of green on the board, so they're not exactly ditching this at the moment. 15-minute MACD still suggests this is lower. I'm just marginally the wrong side of my entry now, only by 1 or 2 ticks. Forex on the whole is pretty quiet. We've moved in pretty small ranges so far. I can't think of anything that actually hit a scalp score target. Even if you shorted the highs of the pound, you wouldn't have hit the scalp score target yet. So this is a big number. 13,500 is a big number. We know the markets love to, they love big numbers, and they will sort of mess around with big numbers occasionally, hesitate, above and below, etc. Euro yen has picked up on that dip by a few ticks. Not much to go on. Like I said, we are very light on data for the rest, pretty much the rest of the week. We've got a slice of red data on the pound on Friday. I think it's at manufacturing, I think. Otherwise, we are very quiet. Yeah, could too. That's a very bearish signal on the 60 minutes. DAX. New high, close below. We have a lovely engulfing bar on that DAX. Now, is that going to give us a dip? If so, to what extent? I hope all you scalpers have got your scalper score target set on this one if you're in it. Euro yen just trickling a little lower. It's sort of hung, isn't it? Couple of little a break lower, a fade lower, and now we're hung. Even if this does trigger some weakness in the DAX, it could take, who knows, could take all day to do something. Euro yen's trickling up a little bit. I'm just testing last week's high on this one. A couple of higher closes in this 5-minute chart. Wow, it's really slow, really, really slow. I'm just inclined to come out and stand aside, really. What I don't want to do is just get caught up in a lot of shot. Quick look at the euro yen. Excuse me. That's a really decent bit of support, that number 11. So we've broken through the close and now potentially fading it. Wow, I think this is a bit of a mess at the moment. Let's see where this. He's been speaking for 5 minutes. So that 5-minute bar was slightly lower. So that 5-minute bar closed at 500. Now this pound increasingly looks lower. I think a fade of this 150, 156 area might see that one drift lower. Euro yen has hit some support. If we start breaking under 210, that could drop. DAX is hung. Could go either way. It was very weak, the fact it couldn't enter. I mean, a chart that can't enter into an open trading range, surely that's got to be a sign that the market is not happy. Surely. That's a decent little 5-minute bar there, and the 15-minute is rejecting yesterday's highs so far. Pretty quiet all around otherwise. I literally cannot see any worthwhile trade here at the moment. We're just toying with ranges here, really. Now, is that going to fade? You can see on that 15-minute chart, this 150 is, we've broken down through a key area. Just testing the underside of it. Euro yen tickling up a little bit. Like I said, cannot see a lot to go after, and I do wonder if this. I do think that is a very bearish 60-minute bar on that one. And although there's quite a lot of red on these smaller time frames, it's just not going anywhere. I think if you're going to take a few days off, this is a good way to take it, I think. As it happens, I am actually going to Berlin, and I have a language app on my phone, which I'm desperately trying to grasp some Deutsche, because ich sprechen Sie sehr little German. Right, so this dip in the pound, so the floor of the range is held on that pound yen. I think the real obvious place to get short this is 75 or 200. Despite the fact that at the moment I still don't like the euro yen. Rubbish, absolute rubbish market. At this point, I have to say this could just pop up again. I might just buy this dip and pop it up again. Really, really rubbish. Markets don't seem to have any sort of footing or direction at all at the moment. And 5 to 10 pips or 20 if you're lucky seems to be about our fill at the moment. Having said that, that pound yen is getting a head of steam up. And has now hit a major pivotal resistance area. That 15-minute chart's just closed higher. The beer is good overall, to say. Yeah, just yeah, nobody else in the well, it's my family. Nobody else in my family drink beer. Not my direct family. The other side of my family drowning and stuff, but not my. Oh, okay, everywhere, right? Okay. uh, right. So the little dip in the at 210, 211 has got really good fib 60-minute support. So this is a period when the scalper school range well, it has worked if you shorted in the range. Yeah, if you shorten the range, you wouldn't have got your 25 pips, I don't think. There is an argument for, at the very least, just moving the stop down a bit, because this is just, or even considering taking it out, because this is just, we're still under the range, aren't we? But eking a little higher with a better 15-minute close. Wow, this is a time not to trade, I think. I think my best setup at the moment, I think, is short this pound. But it's not got a short signal. Or at least it did on the breakdown at 150. Would I fade it? At the moment, that's a bullish, that's a decent 15-minute signal there. So it is really poor. So at the moment, maybe just sitting in this DAX and just waiting could work. We've literally got nothing else. I don't think we've got any data all day now. Let's have a look. Let's have a look what the retail sales was. Retail sales are slightly weaker. We've got main European retail sales at 10 and US jobs at 3. That's it. So the euro yen is creeping up. Okay. Well, if we start closing higher here and then come back and hold 210, 220, that might be an option. The pound US, like I said, that is potentially a trade. At the 60 minutes looks as if that's had enough. The 60 minutes looks as if that could roll over. And that is the most attractive chart to me at the moment. Okay, so we've just faded the range. I would like to fade, I'd ideally like to get higher. I think that's going to potentially roll over. But I'm going to leave it because it's just so choppy. I'm going to stay in this DAX and see if it grinds lower. Watch out for 470. Fingers crossed, because otherwise I'm going to have to walk away with a very poor show this morning. I don't want that. A lot of divergences up here on the 1 and 4 hour chart. Wow, I mean this DAX is practically at standstill. Right, I would suggest a short in this pound, but if you're going to take it, be careful. We're not gap filled yet. And break even on DAX. Euro doesn't look happy up here. That pound is breaking session lows here. I don't think that's going to pull back. I'm going to have to, if I'm going to short that, I'm going to have to wait for a higher number. That is an awful lot of support there. I'm going to have to wait for a bigger number, higher number. DAX is picking up. Right, I'm just going to, I think I'm just going to walk away from this at the moment because this is just not good. Slightly underwater this DAX. I'm going to stay in this DAX, but that's it. I'm going to have to just leave this market and see what else we can get later on if I get stopped out. I would definitely want to see this pound get higher for potential short. Pound US is very bearish. Yes, it is. It is. But it's got on the daily chart. This is the 100-day moving average on the daily chart. I had a strong day yesterday. And it's pathetic at the moment. I'll talk to you at past. Just break away for 5 minutes, just see what sort of 15-minute bars we get. But it's too choppy. Too choppy. Volume in this DAX looks very light. Volume in everything is too light. I totally agree with you about the look of that pound. but there's too much support for me. I'm going to stay with DAX and talk to you in 5 minutes. Have I just been talking my microphone off? I think I have. Doesn't always flick off and on that easily. Yeah, I think I was doing some commentary. I'll talk to you 1:45, but there's nothing cooking for me. That pound US is coming up from that daily support. What I was saying was, the point I was making, if we crack up through 230 and break, I would just trade the fade later in the day. That's what I was trying to say, and I think my microphone was off when I said it. The low is only 210, so buying a pullback at 230 is not that far off the low anyway. My theory about the DAX being low volume and dropping, I'm not sure that's going to work either, because we have actually open and closed on the 15-minute chart above yesterday's high. Right, so I will stay short that DAX, and like I said, if the euro yen breaks up, I'll just wait for a fade later in the day. Rubbish market. Talk to you 1:45. GJ fading. Yeah. So 18 has got bought so far. That looks as if that could break. We're at the 161 extension already, and hitting 50% of the last week's move. That's why I don't like these charts. I think there's just every time I think I've found a trade, I find a major area of congestion or support, resistance or support. This is the problem. I tell you what, I'd like to see a gap fill on this pound yen. That's what I'd like. 992. Yeah, I'd like to a gap either the 990s or a gap fill on that pound yen. Horrible market. Euro, just talking the euro yen up, and there it starts to fall back again. Horrible. Okay, I'm staying short with DAX, and I'll talk to you at 1:45. Keep your comments coming. If you're seeing anything, keep posting, and I'll talk to you at 1:45. Okay, so our patience is rewarded. Pound US still holding up. Coming into scalp school target. On the fact we couldn't even get back in that range, and the fact there's two big factors here. We couldn't even get back in the range, and we hadn't had a gap fill. So beginning to get something on the account anyway. So I'm looking to see. Ultimately, it's such a decent sell signal on the hourly. Might get some follow through on this, but in the meantime, we are just coming, as you can see, just coming into that gap fill. I think if anything, the gap fill was the most attractive to me. Okay, so getting a little bit of yeah, we're just hitting the Sunday Open there. So a bit of a bounce into this 15 minutes, finding some support. The pound US is coming up. Let's see what we can do. Euro is still relatively weak, but the pound's getting a bit of a kick up here. Let's see if we can actually get at least a 470 print. Right now, it looks like it could bounce. We just hit the 15-minute 200 down here. Yeah, interesting that we've just come back into contact with the Sunday Open. So we might provoke some buyers coming in now, certainly a little bit of profit taking. A lot of people looking at this level as well, obviously. So we hit resistance now. 487 is resistance on the 15-minute chart. I'll tell you what, the daily looks very, very vulnerable. So not quite filled the gap yet. Maybe I should have put my target just a little in front of that. At the moment, I have to say, it does look as if it could bounce at the moment. Okay. That 15-minute 200 at the moment has caught the bids. Getting in front of a target by a couple of pips is often a good habit. Because all of a sudden the market looks a bit more buoyant. The pound yen is picking up from that fade. The pound US is catching a bid as well. Yeah, okay, there was a massive amount of pivotal support down there at this dip. So just about to get a higher close on the 5-minute chart. Looks as if it's tempted buyers back in, I have to say, at this stage. So 20 pips so far. We've I think at the lows we've hit a 20 pip target, not 25. I think I might just grab what I've got. Just grab what I've got. It's not much. Okay. I've not actually gap filled yet. So a quick look around the market. Pounds come up from that daily support, and we are just potentially fading on top of that range. I'm going to short here. I'm short the pound, and that's my last trade of the morning. Okay, I'm shorting the ceiling of the range, and I'm going to look for a gap fill. Okay, so far one stop out, one successful one. Still looks lower actually, and one trade on the table. All right, so I'm going to leave that on. I am going to, it's a very bearish 60-minute chart. If you're going to get short as high as you possibly can, is my motto to you. It's no good thinking, oh, that chart short, I'll short it, I'll jump in, because the market will then raise it up. You get some bargain hunters or some short covering to push it up, only to find some bear raiders up there getting ready to get in. Okay, I wish it could have been better. At least come out with something so far. I think that pound US might well fade at that. The euro did this yesterday. Euro dropped nicely, came into the ceiling of the range, and that dropped for the rest of the day after a fade of the ceiling. So I'm hoping that the pound US will do the same. Okay, that's all I'm doing today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your input. It's been a really sluggish, slow day. Hard to grab. 20 pips has been tough because it's been so quiet. That's what I'm doing. So watch that with me. If I can see anything else, I will post it. But I would just be very, very careful today. This lack of data is causing a very light volume this week. Right, I'll leave you there, and thanks very much, and I'll send you out the video. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye for now. See you tomorrow. And of course, I'll chat to you in the room.